Hey everyone, this is Raph, also known as Enshohma, and December and the related holiday of Christmas has not been good to me. Nothing too traumatic, but this is definitely my least favorite time of the year. Just too much stress and whatnot, and it definitely gets in the way of personal projects and deadlines. And since I have more important paying gigs, I've been kind of away from DeviantArt, so I decided to do this video just as a quick hello to all my friends and fans. And I know I've been doing something called Obscure Kaiju Month throughout DeviantArt, using a lot of kaiju illustrations that I've collected over, not illustrations, images I've collected over the year. And in fact, they're all here in this one folder. And you can only see thumbnails right now, but there's a whole mess of lesser-known giant monsters. And the thing about the internet is, yeah, the internet is magnificent, but you can't rely on it as far as archival information goes. So, and I know this might seem a little bit of a digital hoarding, but I do collect whatever interesting kaiju images I happen to come across, and as much as possible, whether it be something like fan art, like whether it be a fan art or actual images of rare monsters. I don't know. Oh yeah, like this really nice Kujira Gami, or the Whale God, illustrated by Ricky Kwan. Or, the Pachimon Kaiju, like this really bizarre take on Spectraman from the 1970s. Pachimon, by the way, means stolen likeness of existing monsters. Or the more recent Ultraman monsters like Five King from Ultraman Ginga. My very good friend Mecha Gregel and her take on the Giant Claw. Photographs of Frankenstein from Frankenstein Conquers the World. Japanese fan art of original monsters. Well, it's not really fan art. This guy. Yeah, these are the kind of kaiju images I collect left and right. And we're going to be here on an 8-part mini-series if I just tell you the names of everybody here. But I kind of... And as you just saw with the skull-headed Bolton Pachimon, I'd also collect different variants of the same image. Just, again, archival footage. But I am going, and don't worry, I'll explain who this guy is pretty soon on DeviantArt. But yeah, but basically, I'm gonna take this time to share with you some recent stuff I've been doing online. Gamera, a very lucky man. And that's pretty much it. And also, forgive me, it's 4 a.m. right now. I'm kind of out of it. Thankfully I did take a little nap, but I gotta take a full 8 hours sleep soon. I've kind of been up for almost 32 hours, so yeah. The nap has only somewhat helped me be a little more coherent, but please bear with me. So one of the big things I was working on this month was Brendan's Cult Movie Reviews, Top 10 Godzilla Films, which is now online. You'll probably get a link at the bottom of this description. And I was so happy with the way the title logo came out that I kind of made a separate image for it, which I rarely do. I just keep it as layers on the main file. But yeah, that's online right now. Unfortunately, as much as I love old Betsy here, my computer, she's not on her last legs. But I definitely need to get a laptop before the end of the year, because yeah, it's like I can only go as far as I can with this poor girl, and ever since I tried Frankensteining her up, she no longer has working audio. And again, oh, best laid plans of mice and men and human beings in general. So this is the main illustration itself, and yes, I can be a little melancholy and depressive without being a negativist, or whatever the terminology for jerks who take a crap on everything. It's 4 a.m., alright? Forgive me. Actually, it's 3:50, but... So this is the main illustration itself for Top 10 Godzilla Films. Unfortunately, I kind of had to cheat it a bit, so the gradients, although elaborate, aren't as elaborate as I usually like to do them. Although if I get Brendan's go-ahead, I'm going to do a slightly improved version with an extra layer of gradients to really give it a little more depth, and also do some of the also to add some extra lighting effects. But yeah, the thing is, all these monsters come from the top 10 films that Brendan picked. And I tried my best going for the most iconic characters imaginable, but also going for the characters you don't see that often. Hence the reason why instead of just regular Destroyer, we have Aggregate Destroyer. I'm tired. You know, Crab Destroyer. And then instead of Biolante's usual form, we chose her larval rose stage. Way easier to say than Aggregate. She's right there. So, and and not only that, but I love too many monsters, so almost everybody here is a favorite of mine. So there's Biolante, Destroyer, the original Mechagodzilla, or OG Godzilla if you want, OG Mechagodzilla. I'll make a confession. I'm not very good at drawing other people's robots. I can create my own robots, but trying to follow all the details exactly is a pain in the butt. Hence the reason I don't do much artwork of Power Ranger Zords. And Mechagodzilla here, although mercifully simplistic, was still kind of a hard one to render correctly. And even then I had to cheat it. There's no, a lot of the extra bolts on him have been left out, but if I put him on, it would have just been overkill, and he would have been blackened with details. That's how much. So, okay. By the way, I know the image might look good on your end, but right now I'm using a smaller JPEG to use to show you guys this image. Here we have Larry, Moe, and Curly. Good old Godzilla himself, who I'm starting to realize I'm starting to draw better. Believe it or not, I used to have a hard time drawing the Big G himself. That, or once I get to his midsection, his legs, it just goes off the rails there. But there's good old Godzilla. And I'm happy that he's smiling in this one, because this really is his video as much as it is Brendan. And there's Brendan below with Mothra, the Showa era version. I'm really happy with the way the eyes came out. Dr. Serizawa from the original 1954 Godzilla, who is not only one of the most iconic human characters from the entire franchise, but he was also a giant monster as a surprise secret character in one of the Japanese Godzilla fighting games. Forgive me, I don't know what the title of it is. I'll try to put it in the description below. There's the Winged Muto, or the male Muto, from the recent 2014 American Godzilla, or as I like to call him, the Rodney Dangerfield Kaiju, because as we all know, if you could translate Kaiju, at one point he would say, "Hey everybody, we're gonna get laid," in the recent movie. Unfortunately, American Godzilla put an end to that. This big old banana here is none other than King Caesar, who is a favorite of mine, but it's kind of hard to draw him and make him look serious without all that golden fur, but more power to you, Okinawa, buddy. Good old Rodan, the clownish version from the Showa era, most notably Jiro the three-headed monster. Whoever this is. And, no, I'm just kidding. This is Legendary Godzilla, or the American Godzilla. So, this is really my first time drawing him, although I still owe Warrior King, or a full kaiju portrait of this guy. Although I'm thinking that maybe I should just blow up the inks and extrapolate it from this. It's a cheat, but I gotta draw more monsters, and you guys want more updates from me. And yeah, alright, okay. So that's pretty much it on this image. I'm happy with the way this one came out, but this one went through a lot of revisions. The test sketches, which I can't find at the moment. Oh lordy, this went through so many different versions. At one point, Godzilla was supposed to be over here, but then it's like I had to rework it. And the only thing I regret is Brendan being here at the bottom instead of being more prominent in the middle. But that's okay. The important thing is I got the Big G himself, the King of the Monsters, is right here. Not overshadowing, but definitely being the most prominent of all the monsters featured here. So, okay. Oh, and here's the actual Photoshop file itself. I wish I knew I had it underneath that, so I wouldn't have shown you the lesser JPEG version. But this is the overlay title text over the main image. And as you can see, unlike my previous efforts, I've become a master of layers. So yeah, there's no... See, so it definitely makes a big difference there. I wish I knew about layers years ago. I would have been in a much better straits than I am now. Yeah, so I'll come back to you. I don't know what I saved. Okay, now these are just a bunch of sketches that one of my dearest friends, Berkion, also known as Jesse, has been telling me that I should just do as many colored sketches as possible and just put these characters and concepts online, regardless if I can ever do any finished inked art of them. So, but I want to show you some of the stuff I had planned for December until the bottom basically fell out. And not just with the Brendan thing. Again, I've had a lot of things I had to deal with this year, including finding out how old Betsy can't last any longer. This is an original villain called Moonman Mason. Basically a living alien rock who's been hanging around sociopathic criminals for too long. And because he's dealing with sociopathic criminals, he honestly sees himself as a superhero, even knowing that he's twisted and quite violent in that regard. I don't know, it's kind of inspired by the, true life events where, these horrible criminals are arrested and it turns out they're big fans of the Marvel movies and Batman. It's an oxymoron, but let's face it, the real world is more absurd than... Oh, if you're hearing weird noises outside, that's because we got some major winds going on. I'd be tempted to go outside and film it, but I'm probably going to go to bed right after this. This is Deborah Darling. You probably have seen her before. The alien cyborg lady of the night who has a heart of gold and is literally a much more well-developed character, these notwithstanding, than a lot of people assume her to be. And this was a sketch attempt to show that there's more facets to her. This is her in somewhat fairly normal clothes, although it's still, fan servicey. And this is her full-blown battle armor. Again, I can draw my own robots quite well. I can't draw other people's robots very well. So, alright. Oh, this jerk. Okay, so there's this character that I've been doing a lot of spec scripts for, sketches and character designs, and I really wanted to get a bunch of one-shot comics done this year, but my colorist job's got in the way. But this is Jack Hodgson. He is a possibly bipolar mad scientist and all-around dickweed, as he likes to refer to himself as. And I don't know if you got... Okay, one of my biggest influences was Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and I'm a huge fan of The Simpsons, especially during its golden era, as well as Futurama, and just absurd comedies like that all around. And Jack Hodgson was very much inspired by all that insanity. Jack Hodgson would say very bizarre things like, I'm celibate and fiercely so. Or it's like, because I'm celibate, I would never fall in love with this girl, nor should you. And secondly, and more importantly, I saw her first. And then Jack Hodgson would start beating the crap out of the person he's talking to. Those are the only two lines of dialogue I can think of. But it's like, also, it's like, he'll scream things like, you smell and nobody likes you. I don't know. I'm not very good. I can write comedy. I can't deliver it. Although if you're laughing on your ends, then thank you so much. You made me a happy man. But yeah, as you can see, this is Jack Hodgson trying to be sincere, but that rarely happens. And Jack Hodgson in his usual self. Now, one of the things about Jack Hodgson is he has a slight burn scar on his cheek here. He always has a hearing aid with him, either for information or he literally isn't very good at hearing in this end. He's a mad scientist, so I figured it was a lot of chemical explosions. Always wears a lab coat into battle. And one little gag that a lot of people miss is that every time he wears a shirt, it's always a reference to some giant monster movie, even though the character himself can't stand giant monsters. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you probably know where this infamous reference comes from. That's the moon, by the way. So yeah, that's Jack Hodgson. Hopefully you'll be seeing more of him in 2015. or at the very least I'll post some of the scripts on DeviantArt and see how the reaction goes. So yeah, let's say goodbye to this dickweed. Alright, so hopefully you took some time to read that. I kind of wanted to save this as a surprise, but I'm not that popular on YouTube, so I think some people will still laugh when the finished illustration comes. But throughout 2015, I plan on doing a whole bunch of Gamera illustrations, and this is just one of the many sketches I did for it. And this is, of course, based on Gamera vs. Jigger, or Gamera vs. Monster X. A movie that's much better than its reputation gives it, but between the not so perfect special effects and the extremely annoying sister character in the movie, seriously, she's such a horrific buzzkill, it's ridiculous. And I know parents in Gamera movies are supposed to be wet blankets, but yeah, it gets really bad in Gamera vs. Jigger, but that's a whole nother video in its own right. But here's Gamera, and this is a Jigger, who's sort of a African demon monster, or a lizard beast from an African island, who is able to send parasitic eggs into unfortunate victims through her tail. Hence this comical little dialogue you have up here. So yeah, I can't wait to finish this. Oh, yeah. Because I don't delete my emails, I was very fortunate to find some major illustrations done by my dear friend, who unfortunately has become extremely successful, and hence I don't talk to him as often as I like to. But no, more power to him. Matt Frank, of course, is doing the artwork for Godzilla Rulers of Earth, and it couldn't happen to another nicer guy. I'm so proud of him and happy. And these were two illustrations he did based on my original characters. This is his take on my original character, Sam Robo, which he definitely took more of a Transformers / old school robot vibe. And I'm definitely happy with it, although it does reek a little bit of a Mega Man villain. And I love the Mega Man villains. In fact, I love the Mega Man villains before I discovered the whole tokusatsu genre, so there you go. And this is a character who, another original monster of mine, Triassic Blue, who sort of Lassie meets Godzilla bioengineered. And she is a full-on hero, even though she looks a little menacing in Matt Frank's rendition. And she's called Triassic Blue because she's actually connected to many of the Thinkadonts, or as they're incorrectly sometimes referred to as the mammal-like reptiles, even though scientists say that they're really a whole subspecies in their own right. But yeah, this is his take on her, and as tempted as I am to post this on DeviantArt, I think I need to do more illustrations of the characters themselves before I can wow people. And it's only fair to Matt Frank too, so it's, it's not like if I post these up, people are going to think that I'm either stealing them, or they think I'm that good of an artist. In fact, when I was at Power Morphicon, I hang around with him a lot, and a lot of people, when he had to go to go get some toys or check out some of the other vendors, people would often come up to the table and mistake me for Matt Frank. And I had to politely tell them the truth, but wow, people love you, Matt Frank. Seriously, they come up saying you're like one of my heroes and all that. And if I was a more shrewd and sinister man like good old Jack Hodgson, I probably would have used it to my advantage. But actually, if I was like Jack Hodgson, the whole convention center would be destroyed by the end of the day. That's how much of a jerk he is. Now, there's this one guy on DeviantArt, Wacko Demon Boy. That's his name, his chosen name, not his real name. DeviantArt account name. And he's been doing these really fun and simple kaiju pictures. And this was something that I wanted to do this year, but I'm going to hold off. But this is just a compilation of some of the monster images he's done. And many of them are based on suggestions and references I sent, like really obscure monsters like Biro Biro, Gari Gari, Ape, Giant Shrimp, but also many of the mainstays like Hedra, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and slightly lesser known kaiju like Yongari and Triax from the Godzilla comics. But yeah, no, a lot of these monsters were based on my suggestions, and I'm very grateful to the guy. Not only are these really fun illustrations he's been doing, but Also, he's probably the only guy who's been doing illustrations of some of these lesser monsters, especially on DeviantArt. So I still have one more row to fill, and I might have to get rid of Q here, because as you can see, he disappears when you put him in the darker green here, but you can kind of see him a little better in the brighter green, but he didn't fit. And I'll be honest, like every time I put him somewhere, it always looked like he was looking towards somebody's crotch or sniffing their hinder. So yeah, so I think I'll have to get rid of Q, the winged serpent there. But everything else here is pretty much where it's at. And thank you so much, Wacko Demon Boy, for these great illustrations you've been doing. And I will be repaying the favor to you in a bigger way that you'll be seeing in a little bit. No, I don't need to save that. Okay, I'm not supposed to talk about this, but I'm getting a little sick and tired that I can't share any of my colorist stuff. And plus, the person in question that I've been doing, one of the people I've been doing work for, Parker, he's a fairly okay guy, so I don't think I'm going to get too much trouble. But this is one of the many colorist jobs I've been doing, and I've been doing a lot of work for local artists and independent publishers. But as usual, a lot of these people have, forgive me, they kind of have slight egos. Nothing wrong with that, but it's almost impossible to show the fact that they had to get other colorists to help color their work without, and I can't blame them. There's a lot of comic book people out there who don't want to listen to the details, so they instantly assume that when you get a colorist to work on their books, that you somehow cheated or it's not your work at all. For crying out loud, let the inkers, the writers, and the colorists, work together to create a final product. But yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. Comic book people are weird. Comic book fans are weird. No offense if you're one of them, but it's just one of the many complications I've been dealing with throughout December. Anyways, Parker has this humorous comic called Black Fist and Brown Hand. Kind of a slightly racially tinged humor book. That's the best way I can describe it. Heavily inspired by like 70s exploitation and whatnot, but done on a more comical, cartoonish level. And this is the cover for one of the illustrations. So yeah, it's fairly simplistic coloring here, and but at least I can share this one. It's like, unfortunately, yeah, he requested I don't post anything on DeviantArt because he's afraid that people won't even buy the comic because they think they're getting free previews. But understandable. Again, people are weird. It's 4 a.m., so I can't be too kosher right now. I did this for Obscure Kaiju Month, and this was the basis for an illustration I want to do, but I'm putting on hold for more important things. And these are my take on the ninjin, which are creatures from Japanese urban folklore. Basically weird alien giant beluga mermaids. In fact, there's a scuba diver coming in contact with these Arctic giants. So that's pretty much it. Oh, getting back to Wacko Demon Boy, this is actually one of his original characters, Chillax, very attractive, very well endowed, one-eyed monster lady. I don't have any examples of his original takes on a character, but this was actually a gift that I'm going to be doing for him in the very near future. There's an inked version of this, but that I want to color. And plus, I need more cheesecake on my DeviantArt site along with the giant monster, so expect to see more of that in the near future. So, 2 more Kaiju Human Guess Who's. I'm not even going to give you a hint who these 2 are. Although I'm definitely thinking that this character should be sharing some more wall space with another familiar wall person. You'll see when they're colored and finished. So, but I'm not telling you who they are. Oh, great. As usual, I have to open the risky stuff. Miss Blue and Blah Bummer Jane. A lot of people have been contacting me through my private messages and email about what the relationship exactly is. And originally it was supposed to be kind of an abusive, dark hentai deal. But since these characters were co-created with Jesse, aka Berkion, we decided to try to make them a little more wholesome. So there they are, just sleeping together in bed, nothing too horrible, and they have a much nicer relationship than originally envisioned. Over here is more sketches of a ninja, although this one slightly works better in a physical sense than the one you just previously saw. Also, this giant beetle guy right here, who's about 33 feet tall, as you can see by the little human figure standing next to him. This character is Paul Kabuto, a genetically engineered giant beetle human hybrid who is ultimately a good guy, and he fights like Bruce Lee meets Anglius is probably the best way I can describe him. He's definitely a character that I'm seriously thinking of submitting to the Colossal Kaiju Combat forums, but I first have to ink him out first and color him. And this vague-looking creature here is my take on a giant squid, or cryptozoological. Okay, there's colossal squid, giant squid, and then there's another one that's supposed to be even bigger than that. But I don't know. I don't know what the exact name is right now. So, but yeah, doodles. Speaking of Kaiju Combat, this is for a client. I'll be doing inks and coloring very soon. In fact, that's my next job. It's his character Titania or Levantine. I don't know. The names keep going back and forth. But it's basically an anthropomorphic kaiju girl that admittedly hasn't been very popular on the kaiju Colossal Kaiju Combat forums. But based on all the positive reactions the sketches have gotten, as well as a reduced bust size, ironically enough, it looks like she might actually get in. But again, I gotta ink this, color it, and get that done before mid-January. So that's my next big job. A sketch based on an unused version of Gyra the Green Gargantua from War of the Gargantuas. E.G. Tsuburaya was a huge fan of the creature from the Black Lagoon, and tried to emulate that monster as often as he could, but only got away with Ragon from Ultra Q and Ultraman in 1965 and 66. But he did try to make Gyra the Green Gargantua into a Gillman, and in fact, you actually saw some of those concept arts when I was going through my giant monster image collection. This is my sketch based on that. Might be a kaiju portrait, or I might just take these this sketch and color it as is. Again, I'm going to be doing more colored sketches just to get ideas, just to share ideas and characters with you. I really do want to do more Batman villain artwork for the Rogues Gallery, and this is my take on Humpty Dumpty. It's directly based on the version of him from Beware the Batman, but a little more realistic. So he doesn't have his head's less of a dome and more of an oval. So, okay, we'll close him up. I'm not going to go too much into detail about this because I'm going to post this on DeviantArt sometime soon. But these are older illustrations based on my name, my internet surname, account name of Enshohma. And Enshohma was originally an evil fire monster. In fact, Enshohma is a combination between fire, evil, and burning in Japanese. And he was originally a monster done for some long gone friends Ultraman website and its fan fiction, Ultra Teresa, about a female Ultra hero. And Enshohma was just one of the few recurring monsters from it. Since people liked Enshohma so much, and again, since Rafael Gonzalez is one of the most common and overly used names in all of American-dom. I'm trying to say kingdom in America, but it's not working. I decided to take this as my online handle. So yeah, that's the monster that's behind Enshohma. Of course, it's going to be really awkward when I actually use Enshohma as the main villain in some of my own works, because then people think that I'm have my own horrible comic book artist ego and making myself and myself alone the main villain. Okay, so despite all the critical backlash and fan outcries, the 1998 Godzilla movie was more or less a financial success. It just didn't perform as magnificently as people really wanted it to. But it did perform extremely well enough to get the idea for a direct sequel done. In fact, some people even wrote a story outline, which is readily available online, called Godzilla 2. And or Zilla too, if you want to be all picky and nitpicky about it. A very minor monster that was supposed to make a very brief cameo in the movie was a massive blue whale mutant. Basically, a blue whale 3 times its size. So I don't know why it's doing that. Literally a whale that's much bigger than it should be. And this is my take on the giant blue whale, but that's the problem about doing your own educated guest designs on a non-existing kaiju. You throw in a bit of your own quirks in there. And even though when I tried to do a giant mutant whale as Patrick Totopoulos, our designer Patrick Totopoulos would have done, I don't know. I still feel that it comes off a little too much as one of my personal preference creations. Slightly expressive eyes, the multiple flippers, that there's no context for that whatsoever. And then, of course, the multiple fins back here, because I don't know, I think all monsters look awesome when they have multiple spikes or fins behind their back. So, might not do this as a full-fledged illustration, but it is a good design. So, oh yeah, this guy right here. This is another character designed for Jesse in his original works, and it's Boza the Bone Devil, literally an extremely powerful demon made of bones. And this is a full body sketch, which I had to do 2 papers combined in Photoshop. So, and I'm really happy with the way this guy came out. Although when I ink him and color him, I plan on improving on some of the somewhat vague details here. And yeah, he was supposed to have eyeballs in his abdomen, but many people says that's a little too gross and disturbing, so these will probably be gone. But the giant eyeball in his chest, the 2 eyeballs in his shoulders, and the eyes in his eye sockets will remain. So so there you go. There's Bozo the Bone Demon. And that's looks like that's pretty much everybody. So, oh, and I did it in 31 minutes, a lot better than usual 40. So there you go, guys. I just want to give you a little update. Merry Christmas, even knowing that I could do without this holiday. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like to make fun of me and call me Ebenezer Scrooge, but this is my least favorite time of year. Especially when you have to go out and deal with the so-called normal people during this time of year. They say that Christmas brings out incredible stress levels amongst male men, and yeah, you see all these so-called normal people out in the open. Oh Lord, yeah. There's something called normalcy bias. Look it up. So there you go, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays. Period. I know there's also Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. And Grand Damian appreciation of the Empress Day. Okay, it's 4:17. I'm gonna go to bed. Okay. Good night, everybody. Bye.